All right. So, extremely happy to be here talking about a book that's very near and dear to my heart. Second collection of poems titled Ropes. And I should start by introducing myself for those who don't know who I am. I'm Derrick Harrell, professor of English at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, author of four collections of poems, and I have published essays and some fiction, and I think that's about it as far as a bio goes. A lover of books, a lover of words, and a lover of students. And thinking about the four books of poetry that I published over the last decade or so, Ropes is a book that has been near and dear to my heart. It is a boxing collection of epistolary poems for the most part. They're letters where historical black boxers write each other across different historical time periods. You have Jack Johnson, who writes Joe Louis, who writes Joe Frazier, who writes Mike Tyson. The book is not chronological, it kind of goes in reverse order. The book was, and well, I'll show the cover in a second, because the cover is banging, it's beautiful. The book was published 2013 by Willow Books, Aquarius Press, Willow Books. The book was the winner of the Mississippi Institute of Arts and Letters Poetry Book Award in 2014. And about a year or so ago, my dear sister, Heather Buchanan, reached out to me, or maybe I reached out to her. Anyway, the synergy is always perfectly aligned when it's supposed to be. And we talked about it being 10 years since Ropes had been released in 2013. And we talked about what we could do as a anniversary project for work for Ropes. And so we started the sort of engine running, and we came up with the idea to release it hardcover as well as soft cover, as well as for me to contemplate on the 10 years that had gone by and potentially re-engage with some new poems that speaks to the poems that were in the book 10 years ago that are in the book that was published around 10 years ago. And so we got this beauty, hardback of Ropes. And I'm going to read a little bit from here, uh, from this 10-year edition. And I think what's what I think would be, I guess I want to say right, is to read a little bit of the introduction that Kiese Layman wrote in response to Ropes' re-release, in response to it being 10 years since Ropes had been released. The phenomenal poet Kiese Layman, author of Heavy and Long Division, a bunch of other amazing stuff, brother of mine, friend of mine, confidant of mine. I'll just read a paragraph or two that he wrote in the introduction to Ropes' re-release. He said, Kiese says this: I read Ropes on a train ride across the country, New York to Oakland, and the way Harrell moved in and out of persona, in and out of place, and smack dab into the experience of getting knocked out and needing to knock another human out for mobility was something I hadn't read or felt in my readerly lifetime. No one does to a black boy's imagination what a brilliant boxer does. We often associate it with the ability to punch, but it's also tied to the ability to take a punch. I knew that, but I did not actually know why. Ropes answered and asked better questions than I was capable of. Extremely grateful for Kiese's words in this introduction, um, and just very honored for my brother's words. I'll read two of the poems that were in the original Ropes, and then I want to read a little bit of my response because I think it's important in my thinking about it being 10 years since Ropes had been released. I think it's important for me to talk a little bit about um, my re-engagement with the text. You know, it's amazing when it's been 10 years, a decade, and you re-engage with something that you wrote and that was out in the world 10 years prior, it's interesting to re-engage with it and to revisit yourself from 10 years ago. I'm going to read one of the first poems in the book, which is called Letters to Joe Frazier from Mike Tyson. This is in the voice of Mike Tyson. He's writing Joe Frazier. Brooklyn, New York, 1970. Joe, I returned from the hospital and sat front row as daddy spun mama about the house till she became a broken ballerina in a blood-smeared tutu. If my fists were bigger than golf balls, I would have driven them through his head with an assassin's intent, believing one bullet can change the world. Brownsville, New York, 1977. Joe, I'm the Pigeon King, a wizard with no wands, a boy afraid of his own footsteps. The air in the projects is poisonous. There are monsters who find what you love, break it slowly like the neck of my favorite bird. This day I learned that fear and fire are lovers intertwined so closely they become one figure. Catskill, New York, 1980. Joe, I've met God. He's old and weak, white and bald. We call him Cuss, but I'm sure only God could make blood sport poetry. We watch black and white reels of great fighters till I'm dizzy, till I'm vomiting. The speed of Lewis, the anticipation of Marciano. You see, boxing is a symphony of wills, an orchestra of skills. I've studied your left hook under careful eye, played peekaboo with the night, buried my chin into my sternum, shot son of a bitch from these thighs. Uh, hmm. I'll read this and then just a little bit of my response poem. My response, long poem. It's a long poem that responds to the collect. It's a response to the collection, I should say. Tupac Shakur reads letter from Mike Tyson. This is in the voice of Tupac. It starts with the epigraph from Tupac, which says, "Ain't no way in hell that I could ever be a rapist." Clinton Correctional Facility, New York, 1995. It's Tupac writing Mike Tyson. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is Mike Tyson writing Tupac. My mistake. Mike Tyson's writing Tupac. And Pac is reading this letter. So Tupac Shakur reads letter from Mike Tyson. Pac, I've been where you are, rubbed palm against concrete walls, confusing the cold, rigid surface for a woman. No, a cadaver. I know what it is to be accountable, to make love with the crown on your head, for jesters to juggle during the romantic hour. Prison is no place for gods. It'll yank stars out you. And once they've taken your stars, they'll come for your moons. I wish I was warned of how roses can be keys to prison doors, how the word rapper can be mistaken for rapists, how sodomy and slavery sometimes look the same in dark. They'll try to make a dragon out of you. Show your fire on the 6 o'clock news. Try to make you forget your mother's songs. But when the cell block's silent, the rhythm will return. The 808s burning in your throat like Hennessy. Your voice enough to make speakers bleed. All right, all right, all right. And what ended up happening was with this re-engagement with the text 10 years later is um, I thought it could be cool to respond. Let me back up. When I was creating these persona poems years ago, I thought that I was literally writing poems in the voice of Mike Tyson, Joe Frazier, Joe Lewis, and Jack Johnson. And while it was performative and a version of method acting, over the years and reading poems from the collection and talking to people about the collection and being asked questions about the collection, what I had come to realize was the collection was as much about me as it was these fighters, right? I did the research, uh, watched documentaries, read books on these fighters, watched fights, and wrote these poems in their voices. But I didn't realize there was so much of me in those poems. They were full of me. And so in re-engaging with the text, I wanted to write them, the boxers that I personified in the collection. And so I'll just read a quick section from a long poem that starts the 10-year anniversary collection. It's called The Blue Derrick. Harrell writes Johnson, Lewis, Frazier, and Tyson. So this is me writing those boxers that I personified, I should say. And this part is from the actual my time in Detroit, Michigan in 2013, and when I got to see the book for the first time in person. And so I tried to channel what that moment felt like for me in writing these four giants. Detroit, Michigan, fall 2013. Kings, I'm standing outside the St. Regis having a smoke, imagining Marvin doing something like this right here. To show the record is done. You see, I did something for you, made something only I could. Let's call it a record of bound songs, brick lane, my broken through your biographies. But maybe I didn't get it all right. Maybe, Mike, instead of calling Miss Gibbons a witch, you would have asked Allah what to do with heart sickness. Maybe Frazier, if we all look deeper, we know you'd forgiven Ali years ago. You'll trade that mockery for a statue in South Philly, the city kneeling toward your glory like clasped hands toward sun. I imagine you'd call your father a madman, crazy person who makes love to the walls of some asylum. But maybe you would have called him a sufferer of white terror, a hostage of hell colliding with hopelessness. Maybe you would have told Jack, I miss him. Maybe Jack would have said, me too. My 1 year old sees a cardiologist and I call him a fighter. I call them angels whenever he stops breathing because I know there's more bouts, more decisions, more technicalities, tear blurred visions for us all. I tell my 1 year old Ali died in Manila in round 14. Tell him resurrection is purely a style, like southpaw, like brawler, like pickaboo. That's it.